at a range of credit information. In the case of FICO scores, it looks at a range of credit information that uses credit scores to help predict consumer behavior, such as how likely is someone to pay their bills on time or not, or whether or not they're able to handle a large credit line. Virtually all lenders use credit scores in lending decisions today. It's going to affect every single part of your life. Now, I'm going to give you a little bit of background before I go into some stories and tell you exactly how. But the bottom line is there are three companies that will rule your life, rule your financial life for the rest of your life. That is Experian, TransUnion, and Equifax. Each one of those credit companies is going to keep a separate file on you. Now, they may not all have the same information. So someone thinks if they pull one credit score, that goes across the whole board. That is not correct. They all have different scores. And so say, matter of fact, I had a individual that came into my office when I was doing commercial loans, and he said, "Jeff, I need your help." I said, "How can I help you?" He said, "I'm dead." I said, "Well, you look alive to me." And he said, "I'm dead on my credit score." And in this case, they got the father and the son messed up, but he couldn't do any banking whatsoever for years, and I was able to switch him over and help him. And it's amazing how having an issue on your credit score can absolutely freeze your life. You cannot buy a house, you cannot buy a car, employers are using it, insurance companies are now using credit scores to determine rates. So it affects every aspect of your life. So you really got to look at these three companies. Now, normally you're allowed to pull your credit report once a year to find out what's on there. But because of COVID, now you can pull it every 7 days. Matter of fact, I just got back from vacation, and I was greeted with some paperwork that stated I was applying for unemployment, and I got my card. So identity theft and this type of fraud, which I'll get into a little bit later, happens to everyone. So even if you take care of your credit score, there's a part two, is that to make sure someone is not getting your information and using it. Of course, I filed all the fraud things yesterday, and hopefully I stopped it, but I'll have to keep an eye on it. Now, also, another reason why credit scores are crucial to helping you in life is Arizona is a community property state. In a community property state, as you know, when you put that ring on your finger, you own everything that your spouse owns. However, if they're in debt, they are $200,000 in debt, guess what? As soon as that ring slides on, guess who else is $200,000 in debt? This is what folks, and I'm trying to teach students, I'm going to share some stories that have personally happened to me. You can, make all the right decisions, but if you're not on top of it, it's going to affect your life dramatically. In my opinion, credit scores are the one main factor whether or not you're going to be financially successful. Now, I don't care if you go to Harvard or Yale or any of these schools. If you study this, and I will show you how to study this, and go to all these websites, and I'll get into it later, and we'll get into questions in a little bit, but to me, it's a master's degree in credit, and you will be able to manipulate your score. You will understand how it functions, and I will send a one-page thing a little bit later that gives you some more information, but it will give you the power to control what level you want to elevate to life. I teach in Yuma, Arizona, and also Nogales, Arizona high schools. And I got to tell you, the border schools, like we have San Luis here and Nogales and Rio Rico, and these kids love it because they were never taught this. Now, even someone that may have been a little bit luckier in life or had a little more privileged background, my dad ended up starting a community bank and was the president and CEO. My speech for my father was 5 words: pay your bills on time. Gee, thanks, Dad. You don't think you could have got it, went a little more in depth? And let me start off by telling you how that got me in trouble. After the University of Arizona, I came back to Yuma. It was a little slow for me, so I went to LA. I had a lot of friends from U of A that were out there, and I ended up working for a check cashing center and ended up running my own. Now, everybody that knows history, my last day was the Rodney King riots, a very sad day, and it just got too dangerous. So I was making great money, but I've always worked in finance in my life. But in closing things up, I remember vividly to this day writing my last American Express payment. It was $200 on a Continental money order, and I mailed it off. And I stood up straight, and I felt like an adult. It's like I paid off my first credit card. I'm a man. I could do all this. I'm surviving in adult society, and I forgot about it. Well, about 6 months later, I get this call from this nasty man. At this time, and since this time, rules have changed where they can't harass you in the middle of the night or call your work or do a lot of this stuff. But this guy, laid into me and, called me every name in the book. And I said, look, I paid this bill. That's my dad's credit speech. Pay your bills on time. I paid it. I mailed it. It's done. Well, there's another step you have to follow up to make sure that they receive the payment. And because I was not aware of the rules, I basically told this gentleman the same thing he was telling me and hung up the phone. Have a great day. Well, I'm thinking, okay, that's never going to affect me. About a couple months later, I'm in the Ford dealership, Bill Alexander Ford in Yuma, and my dad and I are sitting there, and my father has purchased maybe 5 or 6 cars from this gentleman. They're good friends. He helped do some financing for him. And he's like, well, the boy needs to sign on his own. I want him to have his own credit. And Mr. Alexander said, I can't do that. And I saw the veins in my dad's head start to pump. He goes, why? And then he pulls out a piece of paper. He says, because he has a collection from American Express for $200. Well, let me tell you, that conversation with that gentleman all came flooding back on me. I thought my father and I were going to square up right in this gentleman's office. I was 26, 27 years old. I'd never been so embarrassed. My dad said, we'll leave and go back. Well, let me tell you, that was my worst day as a son. And that's one of the reasons I want to share this information, because I don't want students to make the same mistakes that I did and that a lot of people are going to make. Why put your life on hold because you're not educated? Like I say, today I want to give you the master's in credit, or at least the tools to achieve that level so you never have to go through this again. Needless to say, when that happens, it takes about, when you have a collection that can be on your record for 7 years, when people have a bankruptcy, can go up to 11 years. Why put your life on hold for 7 to 11 years because of a silly mistake? You have to stay on top of this. Now, how do you stay on top of it? Credit scores are a mystery. I will share this thing, but basically it's very simple. You can go to the 3 companies, but there's a pie chart. There's 5 things on how they've used predictive analysis to do your score. Now, the first one is payment history. Do you pay your bills on time? That's logical. That's 35%. Do you pay your bills on time? That's real easy. Then we look to the second thing is payment or amounts owed. Now, when I'm in the classroom, I like going to the students and say, Caitlin, Cynthia, can I borrow $100 from you? Can I borrow $100 from you? And go through all the students, and you have 5 students that you borrowed $100 from. If I go to that 6th student, what are the odds that they're, let's just say, kind enough to lend me another $100? What are the odds that I'm going to pay all those 5 people back plus that 6 students. It's not going to happen. And that's the same thing the way credit scores utilize amounts owed. Now, there's also length of credit history, which is 15%. But if you look at those first two, payment history at 35%, amounts owed at 30%, that's 65% of your score. Don't let your bills run up. It's really not rocket science, but you need to study. I could go on for days on the levels and depths of these. A speeding ticket. You get a speeding ticket. Anything financial that you do, any financial contract that you don't honor, which includes a speeding ticket, yes. Question?
Can you repeat those percentages really quick one more time?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Let me go through all of them real quick so you guys can get them all down. So the main thing is payment history at 35%. Your next pie chart, part of the pie chart is amounts owed. How much you owe is 30%. The third thing is length of credit, your credit history. How long have you had a credit card? How long have you been paying bills? That is 15%. The other two are both 10%. New credit is 10%, and credit mix is 10%. So, now does everybody have the 5 components of the pie chart? And I'll break it. We talked a little bit about payment history and amounts owed. Length of credit is obviously how long you've had a credit relationship. This is where it gets dicey. People say, how many credit cards? First 10% was new credit. The 10%, there's 2 of them. New credit and credit mix. The types of credit you have. So new credit and credit mix are the last 2. Those are both 10%. Now, going into those, so what is new credit? New credit is when you go out, the new mall pops up, and I like teasing the girls and when I'm in the classrooms, and I say, I know some of you guys like to shop. When there's a new mall, you get your girlfriends, you run down there, and you buy shoes, and you get new credit cards, and you try and do stuff. This is what gets you in trouble because of the amounts owed. The more you shop, the more you owe. So my recommendation is to have at least 2 credit cards and never close your credit cards. Why? Because I talked about the 15% is the length of credit history, how long you've had it. Keep it at 0. Buy something, once a month and pay it off. Keep it at 0. That will help your credit because that is 15% of your credit score. And why 2 credit cards? Well, have you ever been in a grocery store or a store when someone's card does not work? Let me tell you, as a banker, 50% of the time it's not because they don't have money. It's because the strip is wrong. The strip on your credit card is cracked or has a streak. It's some kind of internet glitch or whatever. So you want to have a second card, or they may not even take, you remember the old commercials? It's like we take Visa but not American Express, or we take MasterCard but not American Express. So that's why I would have 2 cards. You're out in the middle of nowhere and your car breaks down and they only take Visas or MasterCards and you just have American Express, you could be in trouble. That's why I always say have 2 cards and never close those accounts. Always keep them open. Credit mix. This is another one where I really like to have fun with the students because I ask them, what kind of car do you want to drive? Oh, I want this and that. I want the spinning rims. I want the big stereo. I want the nice paint job. And I explain to them, well, your credit score has a predictive analysis model and credit mix is part of it. So if your car payment is more than your house payment or your rent payment, is that logical? No, they're going to look at that and say, this individual does not manage their money well, and you're going to get penalized. So logic has a lot to go into it, and you just have to be careful with these. Now, on these 5 things, there's a couple sites that I'm going to share right now. The first one is MyFICO, MyFICO.com. That is an excellent educational site. You can go into each of these 5 factors of the pie chart that I shared and get more information on it. Because like I say, I could spend an hour just on payment history. I could spend just an hour on amounts owed. But you're going to have to continually educate yourself because it evolves. And that's what I want students to realize. But also, I would utilize the 3 companies I shared that are going to rule your life. Experian.com, Equifax.com, and TransUnion.com. Those are the 3 companies that essentially are the big brother. They are going to keep this score on you much like your Social Security number that you're going to have until you die. And if you mess this up, it takes a lot of work to get it fixed. Now, my wife likes to call me the cheapest man in America, and that is a title I wear proudly because I like to share, and this is one thing that my dad did explain a little better, was expect the unexpected. You never know what's going to happen. Now, do I always have $10,000 in cash to take care of emergencies? No. Especially when you're starting out a family and growing. And I'd like to share a quick story when I was in my backyard. There's 2 things I like to do to relax me. I like to clean up my backyard. I used to do the pool and the yard. Well, I turned the pool green and my wife fired me, and that was fine. I had no passion for the pool. But I have passion for my yard. I love to edge. I love to mow, make it look nice. Get ready when I'm watching maybe a University of Arizona basketball game and look out there and know it's nice. So I'm out there and I'm working on my yard. And I look over and the gentleman from the pool company comes in. Give him a wave, how you doing, a little small talk. Then, whenever you see a mechanic or anybody that works on anything approach you with a part, you're going to see dollar signs. And my heart was sinking as he got closer and closer and closer. And I was like, oh my goodness, what is this going to cost me? Well, he walks over to me and, starts giving me the spiel and the part. And obviously, I'm not a pool guy. My wife fired me already and hired the pool company. And it was something with the motor. And I'm like, well, what's the story? And he said, well, this blah, blah, blah works. I said, what's the bottom line? Does it need it for the motor to function? Yes. How much is it? $2,000. Expect the unexpected. So it's about 8:45 in the morning. I have not even left my backyard, and I've already spent my first $2,000. Now, because I was early in our marriage with a young child, I didn't have all this cash in the bank, but because after my experience with the Amex card, I learned that credit is a wonderful tool to protect your family. And so I give them the card number, say, go buy the part, put it in. Well, it's almost 9 now. My wife comes running out with our baby son. He does not look good. She said he has 105 temperature. And I'm like, oh my goodness. I said, go to the emergency room. I will follow you over there. Let me close up the house. Well, we go to the emergency room and he had the rotavirus, I believe. I don't know how you get that in 7 months old, 8 months old. We go to the emergency room. Needless to say, they check him in. He's in there for 3 days. Now, mind you, this is about 12 years ago. He's 12 years old now. And he was in with 3 days, and mind you, I have excellent insurance with the bank. My portion of the bill was $8,000. I spent $10,000 in my backyard, not even leaving my backyard, excuse me. And that's what I try and share with people. Finances are unpredictable, much like life. You need to make sure that you have good credit because it's going to make your life so much easier. Now, you need to start early. And if you go to those three companies, Experian, Equifax, TransUnion, go to their educational sites. They all have educational sites in there, and learn about payment history. And also my FICO, the one I shared. Learn about amounts owed. Learn about new credit. Learn about linked credit history and credit mix, because there's so much I cannot get into in 1 hour's time. And they're excellent educational tools. And like I said earlier, in my personal opinion, having an understanding of credit is much more important than a college degree, to be quite honest with you. It will serve you better than a college or master's degree. You look at a lot of billionaires in life, from Bill Gates to these other gentlemen who started these businesses, and they learned how to use credit and leverage credit to take risk and become billionaires. So every student needs to look at their individual situation, what's going to work best for them. The other thing that is one of my pet peeves is getting hundreds of thousands of dollars in student loans to attend college. Why? Go to a community college. Get all your basics done. Get your associates. Then if you want to focus on something as your life evolves, then you can take things to get your collegiate degree and then on with your master's degree. So to me, the best way I can help people is go out in our communities and share with them. Now, in each of your situations, I believe most of you will be in the Phoenix area. In Yuma and Nogales, we have partnered with a company called EverFi, EverFi.com, everfi.com. It's a social learning tool that teaches financial literacy. Now, for all of the high schools in Yuma and Nogales, we pay for that. The same situation happens in Phoenix and other cities. So that is one fantastic tool that I would share with you, to call everfi.com and say, hey, is there any banks in the area funding this EverFi? I would like to utilize it in my classroom. And it had a wealth of knowledge. So my point is education doesn't have to be expensive. You can look at certain tools to make yourself stronger and more educated just on the internet, or by the use of businesses sponsoring it. Now, this is another thing that kind of I want to share with students, or have you guys share with students. It's called comparative shopping. Let's say two students want to buy a BMW. They both came into some money. They've got, well, let's say Tom runs out and buys the first unit, and we're going to talk about the same year, model BMW with the same amenities. Tom goes right out, and he just has this money burning a hole in his pocket. He goes out, he wants to be home with a BMW tonight. He goes out and buys a BMW. It costs him $40,000. Of course, we're talking about probably a used one. Now, Cynthia, she likes to comparative shop, take her time, look at her options. She looks for all the companies within a 500-mile radius, looks up BMW, writes them an email and says, this is the make, model with the amenities I want. Give me your best price, out the door. Cynthia purchases the same BMW 3 days later for $25,000. That's a $15,000 difference. that this young lady will have $15,000 in the bank. Now, I really love the old cliche, a penny saved is a penny earned. So let me ask the students out there and the educators, did she save $15,000 or earn $15,000? In my opinion, she did. She got the same product, but because she took an educated approach about it and was not in a hurry, she still has $15,000 in the bank to go do other things, maybe take a trip in her new BMW. Where the gentleman that wanted to have a BMW in the car park by the time he got home, to show off to everybody, does not have that extra money. This goes to everything. Now, if you look at buying your first home, like I say, this is my passion, and one of the reasons I want to share this, I could not buy a home in my 20s. I believe young folks should be buying either a condo or a home, which will be your biggest, greatest investment in their 20s. If you have good credit, because to me, when you buy a house, I look at it like a bank account. You're getting that money back. Don't write that $750 check and say goodbye by renting and say, see you later, bye, I'll never see you again. Start with a little condo or a townhouse. You write that $750 check, and then you send it in, you say, I'll see you later, bye, go help, raise money for me. So because once you sell, you've got all that money to apply to a new house, and it goes on and on. But the importance of credit scores, if you don't have a solid credit score, you're not even in the game. Now, in my opinion, I've seen very few credit scores that are 800 or higher. I got there once. Then, the kid gets sick or my wife goes to the hospital or whatever, and then I accumulate more debt and it drops me. And that's what people don't understand is your credit score is going to evolve every single day depending on what's going on in your life. So credit scores range between 300 and 850. 300 to 579 is very poor. No one's going to touch you. Credit scores between 580 and 669 are still poor, but you may get some people to finance you. You may. I think you need at least 660 to get a government assistance on certain home projects and stuff like that. Now that evolves from time to time, but the real story is you want to get at least above 700. That's where most banks want to look at you. You want to have at least a 700 credit score. Now, when I share this, I'll be quite honest with you. I've got, when I was doing loans, commercial loans, I would have business owners come in. I'd say, well, what's your credit score? They'd say, I have no idea. They're good at running a tire business. They're good at running a farm. They're good at running a restaurant, but they had no idea what their credit score. I said, do you know how much money this is costing you by not knowing? So I try and educate adults as well as students because this, like I say, this affects you for the rest of your life. Personally, you want to be above 760. If you have a 760 and above, that will usually, 760, 770, that will usually get what we call A paper. That will get you the lowest rate. You see all the commercials on approved credit. What's the first thing anybody does? They run a credit thing. You know, of course, all the car places do the bait and switch. You know, they got that unapproved credit is about this big in the little corner when they do those fast commercials. So you've got to know where you got to come from a position of strength, and knowing what your credit score is and being able to manipulate it gives you that position of strength. I brutalize car dealers now. I got to admit I have a fun time doing it because, like I say, I do the circle. And then I write them a letter. I get my loan all set up and say, I am a pre-qualified buyer. I've already got the loan set up. I don't want to be in your office for any longer than 15 minutes. Here's my proposal. This is like when I bought my wife a Volkswagen Passat, and amazingly, the most effective economical price I got was from Camelback Volkswagen. But I took a circle which included LA, San Diego, Phoenix, and I said, listen, you don't have to qualify me. I'm pre-qualified. I want a Volkswagen Passat, or actually my wife does, and this is what she wants. These are the amenities she wants. This is the color she wants. All I want from you is a price, taxes, license, out the door. I'm going to pay for the whole thing. I'm doing my own financing. I've already got my stuff. So here I am, a pre-qualified buyer, telling them what I want and giving them things. I said, I will accept no substitutions. This is what I want. I want to come into your office, give you my check, spend 15 minutes at the most, and be on my way. Well, I sent it to 8 companies. 3 companies emailed me back, which really kind of chafed me a little bit. I'm thinking, what a knucklehead these people are. I pre-qualified myself. I'm saying I'm going to buy a car. I've got the money, and you don't do the work. Well, out of the 3, one Volkswagen Passat was, I think, $38,000. One was like $31,000, and I believe Camelback Volkswagen was $26,000. So by being educated, I not only saved myself thousands of dollars in financing costs because I got my own financing. I didn't have to go in there and waste my time. I got the car I want. So I called Camelback Volkswagen. One of the greatest, and this isn't a commercial for them, this is just a business that was a smart business. And they said, yeah, we've got your car, Mr. Bird. And I said, well, you know, I'm going to fly up from Yuma. They said, great, we'll pick you up at the airport, drive you over, sign the paperwork, you'll be on your way. They picked me up at the airport. I went into my car, went into Camelback Volkswagen, did not spend more than 15 minutes, and bought the car and was on my way back to Yuma. That's the power that knowing your credit score can give you in life. Now, if you look at buying a home, which will be the largest investment in your life, the difference between a good credit score payment and a low credit score payment could be as much as $1,000 on a $200,000 home. Let's just say, you know, it's $500. So if you've got, let me back up one second. First, let me ask, and for the students, the educators, is it legal in the United States of America to charge one individual? Let's talk about a community. You've all seen them. It's the same square footage, same number of bedrooms, same backyard, the whole thing. The houses are virtually identical. In the United States of America today, is it legal to charge one neighbor more than the other, as much as $500 to $1,000? Is it legal? Of course it is, because I'm telling you about the new economic game. The game is played with credit scores. That's how they evaluate you. It's not who your mommy or daddy is, the color of your skin, where you come from. It's your credit score, because all businesses care about is, are they going to get paid back? Are you going to pay for that home? Are you going to pay for that car? And you've got to understand that. So let's say Jane and Josh buy a house together. Josh watches his credit score. He has a payment that is $500 less than Jane. So if we take it out, we've got, let's just do some quick math here. Because he paid all his bills on time, he didn't owe a lot of people money, he didn't go out and get new credit, he had a long history of credit, and his credit mix was fine. So he pays $500 less than she does. So if we look at, let's see, so clear this out, $500, there's 12 months in a year, that's $6,000 a year he can have in his bank account. How long are the average, and say these are both $200,000 houses, how long are the average loans? Well, you've got anywhere, you can modify them today, but usually they're 10, 15, or 30 years. So $6,000 the first year times 30 years equals $180,000, folks. $180,000 because you use your mind. You use your educated mind to have a great credit score so you don't pay more than your neighbor. These are the points that I want to drive home today and share with students and let them know why pay more. There's no reason for it. We tell you how the game is played. Actually, I take that back. Very few people tell you how the game is played. I mean, did you guys have a credit speech when you were younger? Did they teach it in your high school? They didn't teach it in my high school. And I told you my dad's speech, 5 words. I'm sorry, Cynthia, did you have something?
We've got a question from one of the teachers if you could talk about credit scores for minors or kids out of high school. We've got all teachers on the phone, a variety of teachers who teach high school, a couple who teach middle school as well. So thinking about as our teachers share some of this information with students, how do students begin to build credit, and at what point should students begin to build credit?
That's an excellent point. I was going to get to that, but we'll jump to it right now. Number 1, you cannot get a credit card until you're 21 years of age. Okay? You have to be 21. That is the new credit law that is passed. How do you get around that? Now, here's the slippery slope. Educators, do not have parents or guardians coming to my bank with a pitchfork. But I'm going to tell you one way to do it. And I've had parents be very upset with me, but I'm just explaining different ways to do it. You can put a minor on a card or a debit card as a minor. However, if you do that, they still have to be responsible. Okay? But for them to really start developing their own credit, they have to be, in most, 21 to have a credit card. However, in today's society, they are starting to count phone bills, electric bills, water bills. So there are students that start out on their own at 18. Now, they can't even rent a car until they're 25. You can't rent a car till you're 25. You can't get a credit card till you're 21. But there's ways around it. Now, if you have a guardian, a parent or a guardian that's willing to put you on, that's one way of doing it. Now, like I say, I've gotten in big trouble for this, but I'm just giving options. I'm not saying that's the way to go, but that is one option to do it. Otherwise, you have to take care of your financial business. Say you're 18 and you get a great job out of high school, more power to you. Some people, like I say, some people become billionaires that way. But you have to keep track of your financial situation and, have it tracked, because even children have credit scores, and I'll go into that a little bit later on this. But so pay your water bill on time, pay your electric bill on time, pay your rent on time. Don't write bad checks. There's a thing called check systems. Because these are every financial contract that you do in your life is tracked for the rest of your life. It's tracked. So if you write a bad check to Safeway, they'll put you on check systems and try and write a check anywhere else in the world. Now, checks are kind of going out of the way to the debit card, but it can still stop you from getting a debit card. You come into me and you're on check systems. Do you think the bank is going to give you a debit card? No, it's not. Other
And
ways
Jeff-
is buying preloaded credit cards. Now, they have them out there. That will help if you're under 21. You can buy so you pay the money up front, and you buy the preloaded credit cards. And that's a way of showing that. But really, the game does not start until you become 21. At 21, if you did those correct things right from 18, because I remember back in the day when I went to the University of Arizona, they used to have lines of credit card companies, and I mean, everybody got in trouble. Oh, let me grab that. I'll buy that. You forget the bill comes at the end of the month. And those are some other very interesting conversations I had with my dad, but that's another story. But now it is 21 because of the law, but you need to prepare yourself to be able to hit the ground running. And like I say, it all goes back to education. So when you're 21, I would apply for 2 credit cards. Start out slow because let me tell you, just get $500 credit cards just to start building up. The interest rate may be a little bit higher, but you can manipulate that later. What you're trying to do is we're going back to our pie chart and the 15% length of credit history. You want to have that credit history, started at 21 with your credit cards and other arrangements. Now, if you sign an agreement from 18 to 21 to rent furniture, to finance furniture or whatever, those companies will finance you and they'll probably hit you hard because they know you're young and you're going to be paying a significant balance. But if you're 18 on your own, you don't have a lot of options. So those are the ways to do it. Like I say, if you can get a parent or guardian that's willing to help you and put you on, that's fine. I stay away from that because that's a very money and finances are very personal to people. And so I would tell the parent, I said, no, I did not say that they have to do that. I said that's an option, and that is a personal decision between the parent and the guardian. Number 2, they've got to pay their bills, their rent on time, that age period between 18 and 21. Or if they sign financial contracts to buy a couch or whatever, do that ready. And then at 21, start your process. Get 2 credit cards, go out, start small limit, and let me tell you something. You pay your bills on time, the credit card companies are going to raise that limit very quickly. And when they want to raise the limit, do you let them? Absolutely. Why? It can get you in more trouble, but it also helps you. Because you remember on our pie chart, 30% is amounts owed. And if you've got more money in there and you don't owe that $1,000, $3,000, $5,000 in credit limit, it will help your credit score. So it's something that you need to pay attention to every day. And like I said, it used to be, because we live in very uncertain times right now, you can only get a credit score from annualcreditreport.com or credit report from annualcreditreport.com once a year. Now, because of COVID, every 7 days you can get it because of identity theft. I told you I got back from vacation. I found out some joker's trying to collect unemployment on the salaries I've had over the years. I put a kibosh. I even got my little card with my name on it. And I said, what's going on here? I didn't apply for this. And you have to get on it right away. And I know we're running out of time here real quick. We started a little late. I wanted to give you guys a quick overview as much as I could. But go to those 3 companies, have the students educate themselves, create tests from that so they can learn to empower themselves and do that. So at this point, I'm going to just open it up to a couple quick questions because I'm sure like that there's a lot of things I missed.
No, that's great, Jeff. This has been great information, and sorry for me jumping in to interrupt. We do have just about 5 more minutes, and then I know we'll have to jump off so Jeff can get on his next call. But one question, Jeff. One of the teachers asked if educational debt is considered good credit, and what if the student has federal student loan debt, which many of our kids do have that, and a Sallie Mae loan, which should be paid first for increasing credit rating?
It doesn't really matter. Debt is debt, okay? Debt is debt. You owe someone money, you owe someone money. It doesn't really matter to it. We look at the FICO score, the amounts owed. I go back to my point, that's 30%. So I don't care if it's Sallie Mae or a federal student loan, you owe people money. That's why my personal opinion is, you know, most people don't need to go to college if that's not in their thing. They can go to trade school, or they could start out at a community college and then build up once they figure out what they want. Debt is good and bad. You've got to have some to leverage it, but you don't want a ton of debt. How many people are in their 40s and 50s and still paying off student loans? It happens to a lot of doctors and attorneys and situations because they overdo it. Find economical ways to do it. I'm not a big fan of having a lot of debt. Debt is necessary in life. No one has $200,000 in their pocket to go buy their first house, or $150,000 to buy their first condo. So it's a double-edged sword. I just remember that debt, the more you have, the lower it's going to drive your score. Now, one other real quick thing before I get to another question is you could do all the right things right. You could educate yourself. Identity theft. Someone can get your information like they got mine the other day and applied for a thing. I'm going to tell you a quick story. I deal with a lot of doctors, and I hope none of you are married to physicians because I'm going to pick on them a little bit. They spend most of their time focusing on their career and focusing on becoming that doctor and putting that energy in there, and usually they'll let the spouse or the office manager handle their finances. And a lot of time it gets them into trouble because they don't know what's going on. I had a doctor that came in, made $500,000 a year, wanted to buy a building, $500,000. Pulled up his credit report, 520. I said, I can't help you. He proceeded to pretty much cuss me out and tell me he could buy and sell me, but I said, well, at least I pay my bills on time, sir. You're going to have to settle down. This is a federal offense to go after a banker. And I had to really educate him. But he had no idea what his credit score was. But my point on identity theft, I go out to these doctors' offices and say, hey, I'd love to do a thing for your staff. And this one lady said, hey, I need to talk to you. So she takes me in the back room, and I'm like, did I know this gal in high school? I don't know what was going on. She said, and listen to my words carefully, my eight-year-old daughter has $200,000 on her credit report. I said, excuse me? My 8-year-old daughter has her daughter had identity theft. Children are the biggest targets. Why? They don't use their Social Security number until they apply for college, student loans, or for that first job. So they've got 8, 10, 12, 14 years to build up that credit. They'll pay the bills. It's a scam. It's a pyramid scam. They've got this going with all kinds of kids. And then once they get to a certain level, like this poor girl's at $200,000, they cashed out. They stopped paying. White-collar crime, identity theft is the fastest growing crime in the country. And like I say, even if you educate yourself, there's this other factor out there that you've got to pay attention to, because it could take you down just as bad as having a bad credit score. And you have to get on it right away. And that's another thing to educate yourself. But it's out there. Any other questions? Yes.
So how would you explain to the students to protect themselves against identity theft before they even have done anything?
Well, I would tell them to have, I would ask my parents if they have identity theft protection. And a lot of those programs you can add the children on
Thank
for
you.
a minimal price. The other thing is You could say, hey, call up any of the 3 credit companies and say, hey, I saw someone by my mailbox. I'm worried about my whole family's information. I want to pull my annual credit report and see what it is. Now, of course, they'll either have no report, or kids will either have like a 300 because they're just getting started, or no score. It just depends on when the credit company started. But they can pull, requests if they feel that there's fraud or someone has gotten their information, they can request that. So that's the cheap way to do it. For a couple bucks on the parents or the guardian, they can add them onto identity theft protection. All the 3 companies have that protection, and then you've got other companies like LifeLock and other ones do it. Let me tell you, it is a pain in the patootie to clear this stuff. In the criminal world, you are innocent until proven guilty. In the financial world, you are guilty until you can prove yourself innocent. And think about that for a moment. That's just the way the rules are played. Like I started at the beginning, this is the new economic game. The more you know about it, the better you'll be able to protect your family.
Great. Jeff, thank you so much. It's 8:55, and I'm going to close this session down because, Jeff, I know you actually have one directly after this, so I have to let you log off of this one and into a new one. So, Jeff, thank you so much for your information today and for this session. I know there's a lot of great information that we can share out with our students, and if there are additional questions, send them to me. We'll send them to Jeff, and we'll get answers.
And that's one thing I want to share. Wherever you may be, email me. I love getting this information out, and I want to protect that little one right there, that someone doesn't steal her credit report. And I appreciate your time, and any way I can help, please use me as a resource.
Hey, thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Super
it was a wonderful
informative.
session.
Thank you. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks,
You
Jeff.
guys have a wonderful day.
We'll
You
see
bet.
you later.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.
And sorry we didn't get to your question real quick, but we'll send that out. And that's a good question. So we'll see if we get an answer back on that one and share that out.
Okay, thank you.
I feel like that could have been 3 hours long and I would still be learning things. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yes. Cindy, I do have a question, but it's kind of a long question. Do you mind if I just tell you? Because when I was 18, I actually got a personal loan it was only $500. My loan was good for a year. I was paying like $40 or $45. I don't remember exactly. I should have done the math. But I think it was roughly around $40. And that actually helped build my credit. I don't know if it's true or not, but I was told. So I just wanted to ask him because I have actually mentioned that to my students. So I've told them, go out, don't get a big loan, get like a little $500 personal loan. Do not waste that money, save it, and then, with that same money, then you pay off your debt. Again, I just wanted to kind of ask them if it's true.
Yeah, that's a good question too, and we'll send that to him and see what kind of answer we get back on that too. And I didn't have a chance to really introduce Jeff. His family owns a bank in Yuma, the First Bank of Yuma. And obviously, as he shared, been in the banking business forever. But that's an interesting question. I have an 18-year-old daughter who just graduated from high school. So, she does have a bank account, has had a bank account for a long time, and a debit card along with that. And so I'm thinking, I should really check her credit score, and I should see if that's kind of building anything. She's never had a bill on anything and doesn't have a credit card and has never, but she does have like money in that account. So it's like, is that actually helping her? And I don't know the answer to that. So that would be cool to know.
I have a lot of students that their parents are already starting to help build their credit for them while they're in their last 2 years of high school, which I think is great because when I was growing up, I don't even think they had credit scores back then, So no, it's that was a really good one. These sessions have been pretty awesome across the board. I'm pretty impressed with everything I've learned so far, and I can't wait to share it with my kids. I really can't, because it's stuff that I kind of mention, but I don't get too deep into it, you know? But with all this stuff and the emails we're going to get, I can really do, I don't know, probably 2 weeks on some of the things that I've learned, you know, of full lesson plans. So I'm excited.
Yeah, and I'm hoping that through the recordings that you'll have, not every session is recorded because employers, some of the ones employers couldn't have them recorded, in particular, a couple of the financial ones. But I think there'll be enough recordings that hopefully, you know, you might even be able to slice out certain sections of the recordings, like first 20 minutes of different ones, and be able, and that's one of the things I've thought about, be able to actually share some of that with students. So
absolutely.
I'm glad, thank you for the feedback. I'm glad it's been helpful. I know for me, the sessions I've been in have been helpful too.
Yeah.
Definitely.
This is really great info. I was just going to say, I have a bunch of students that the parents use their students' credit negative, and then don't pay bills.
Yeah.
So we have a issue before they even have real credit.
Yeah, that's an interesting one too. Interesting issue for kids and how to manage that with their parents, right?
Yeah,
So,
I've had that happen in a very negative, a few different times, very negative results. Very bad. I'm gonna see if I can hop into maybe some of the other meetings that I missed. I'm gonna go look at the other letters. I'm gonna see if I can just hop in because I missed some in the last 2 days because of IT issues, but I'm just trying to catch up. So
yeah, if you're able to do that, that's totally fine. So, well, thank you, everybody. I'll let you guys log off because I think you have a break until your next session I think this group has another one at 10. So enjoy your break the rest of your day, and we'll catch up with you soon. Thanks.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.